Hey, what's going on, guys? So today I'm going to give you guys an update on the 54-gallon bubble tip anemone reef tank. Today is another water change day, and what's funny is it seems like every update I've done for this tank so far has been a water change day. Now looking back at the previous update, it seems like we do still have an algae outbreak in this tank. I still haven't gotten the tank to help control this algae. Well, actually, I take that back. I actually do have a tang that I bought from the local pet store, but it's in quarantine right now, and I'm actually not sure how long it's going to be in there. And unfortunately, that tang did catch a very severe case of ick, and maybe even marine velvet. I can't really tell just because it seems like it was like a combination of both. I really do hope that the little dude makes it through, and this is why it's so important to quarantine all new fish. You just don't want to risk it with your established tank. So we'll see what happens with the fish, and hopefully it makes it through and we can add them into the tank. So let's go back to the algae outbreak in the tank. So when I was making that video last month, I was really just trying to think of all the possible reasons on how this algae outbreak could happen. And I was checking through all these things, and I find out that it was my RODI unit. So it turns out that my RODI unit needed new filters. It was actually reading about 9 parts per million, which is not a lot. But for reef tanks, you want to have it at 0 parts per million when you're making water. And at 9, it's actually not that bad. But over time, if you're using that water to refill your auto top off, do your water changes, it basically adds nutrients into the water, and basically algae can grow and feed off of that. Once I found that out, I went ahead and replaced the filters. It'll probably be a few months before the algae goes away. It's going to take some time to dilute that into the system. The other thing that I wanted to do to help with the algae control was converting the sump into a refugium. I was waiting on a gooseneck to come in so I can actually hang the light on the sump. And in the system right now, I only plan on growing some dragon's breath macroalgae. It's going to take some time for this macroalgae to grow in. I'm still trying to figure out how to grow these guys fast, but it seems like they just like to stay compact and small. So we did actually have a new addition to the tank. I did pick up a black widow anemone. So far it's adapting pretty well. It took a few weeks to kind of settle in and kind of get its color again. I think over time it's going to look very, very nice. So some other good news about the tank. My Sherman anemone did split into thirds. This is probably the first time I've actually seen an anemone split into threes instead of just halves. The third split was like a tiny, tiny baby one, as you can see here. It's just kind of chilling in the rock right now, but it looks like that little split is actually going to make it. So I'm really excited to see this tank filled with anemones in the future. Right now we have 8 anemones total, and it's growing rapidly throughout the month. And what's surprising is with all these anemones in the tank, the clownfish has not hosted one of those anemones yet, but I'm still crossing my fingers, and maybe one day I'll see them kind of hiding in the anemones when I turn on the lights. Alright guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's update. If you guys aren't subscribed yet, make sure you guys are subscribed. And like always, until next time guys, peace.